from Pittsburgh right now. Ed Bouchette joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, joining me here to talk about what he's been talking about in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Is Le'Veon Bell going to be there week one, do you think, Ed?
Rich, if I knew that, I'd probably take it to Vegas because you could probably get odds. I don't know. It's an independent arbiter, and who knows how he's going to rule. I mean, Le'Veon may think he has, and I'm not sure exactly. I've heard all the things he didn't change his phone number and things like that. He may think he has grounds, but I don't know.
So where's the optimism coming from these reports then, do you think?
Well, there's nobody been named. There's nobody been quoted. It's all sources. It's all the Steelers feel this, the Steelers feel that. And I've talked to nobody with the Steelers who say they have any kind of feeling one way or the other.
Okay. So Le'Veon Bell, let's say he does miss some time. What does this team do in that regard? D'Angelo Williams, you just go back to what worked last year, essentially, correct?
Yes, and it did work last year with him. He averaged 4.5 yards a carry. He played a lot because Le'Veon was suspended 2 games and then got hurt and missed almost half the season last year. And D'Angelo Williams had 900-plus yards, 4.5 average, caught 40 passes in that time, which is a lot for Steelers running back. And they feel he hasn't fallen off that edge. You know, those running backs, they get to that age, mid-30s, sort of, he's 33. They tend to lose something, but they tell me that he has not.
Okay. Ed Bouchette of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's Antonio Brown's contractual status as of now, for those who may not know, and when might that change, do you think?
Rich, last year they advanced him $2 million on his salary from this year. So what should have been like 8.7, he's going to get 6.7. But he signed through 2017, and they have a policy that they don't extend contracts with more than 1 year left, and he has 2 years left, unless you're the starting quarterback. And Kevin Colbert, their general manager, has said that often enough, including last week, that you have to believe they're not going to do that. So I think what they might do is, again, advance him that $2 million from next year's salary, give it to him this year, add it to him this year, and then next year they'll redo his contract and tear that one up.
So he should not expect his new deal coming anytime soon. And if that's the case, how might that affect anything with him, the team, at all?
No, it won't, because I think everybody on the team knows that philosophy, the policy, if you will, and they followed it strictly through the years. That's why they're not going to change it for Antonio, as much as, you know, they know they'd like to get him more money. If they do it for him, there's going to be some superstar in the future who's going to point to that and say, hey, you did it for Antonio. That's why they're not going to do it. The players understand that. Antonio understands it. He even said it. He understands it, and he is he doesn't have it within him, I don't think, he doesn't.
It's
to,
interesting.
Cause any kind of trouble.
Because we're having that same conversation about Joey Bosa and the Chargers right now, but wouldn't the Steelers be able to say, hey, I mean, Antonio Brown did X, Y, and Z. Who's going to touch Antonio Brown's numbers in the future, Ed? You know, I know you might have to plan for that possibility, but Antonio's an exception.
He's an exception at wide receiver. At one point, Hines Ward was an exception. Troy Polamalu was an exception. Hey, Le'Veon Bell may be an exception. And who knows who's coming along. They've had a few Hall of Famers here, Rich, who were all exceptions, and they never made exceptions for them.
Okay, so what's the main concern or Achilles heel for this team to go as deep as Steelers fans hope, Ed?
Their secondary. I mean, it's still their secondary. It has been that way for quite some time. You know, they were 30th in passing yards allowed last season. Now, they did get some sacks, more sacks, many more. They were 3rd in the league. They really improved there. That helped that secondary. They're going to need to do more of that. Because it's a young group.
How's Burns looking so far? Artie Burns.
You know, he's been hurt. He hasn't practiced the last several days, so we really haven't seen a whole lot of him, Rich.
Wow. Jeez. Ed, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling in.
I like to throw all that optimism out there.
No. So what do you think? I mean, what do you think when it's all said and done?
I think they're still powerful on offense, and I think the defense has enough young players on the rise that they could be better than last year. And last year they were within a fumble away from going to the AFC title game.
It's almost every year with the Steelers. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
All right, Rich.
It's Ed Bouchette of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.